I don't know if I can do it today, guys. This is brutal. The title of today's live stream gives a little bit of it away, but I'm speechless by the caliber, and I don't throw this word around all the time because it sounds petty, it sounds childish, of stupidity. The sheer caliber of stupidity. And I have obviously most egregiously MAGA examples. They are doing a non-stop news cycle about Fauci, as if any average American living their life, Joe Schmo, wants to hear about Fauci in 2026, but Republicans are grasping for something. And we did a deep dive yesterday. I'll try not to be too redundant. But this first segment we're going to get into is actually a fun-ish version of a follow-up on the Fauci mania, because Tucker Carlson had one of those, like, I don't even care about this, but then they're melting down over it, so you can tell they very much do care about it. But there's just an alternative world, a fake world, let me make sure I emphasize, false world, that has rewritten both the events of the pandemic era to fit a political narrative and the takeaways. Just completely bonkersville. But here's where I go crazy, because I deal with that every day. Of course, MAGA's crazy. Ooh, so hard to say. No, of course. Is Cenk Uygur said something outrageous. And so then it makes me have that spiral where you go, are there crazies everywhere? And I'm not generally describing Cenk on everything as crazy. We agree on a bunch of things. He's on the left, I'm on the left. He wants good things for people, I want good things for people. He opposes the Iran war, I oppose the Iran war. But he tried to make an argument that Ukraine is only continuing the war to help Israel. Which, if you know anything about the relationship between Ukraine and Israel, or about the conflict that Russia started, you would think that sounds like a lunatic. And yes, this is extra near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about that in the second segment. But when you realize this is something that we were just talking about this today. Let me just explain this, and then we'll get to Tucker melting down over Fauci calling him an asshole. True. Hannity doing the same. Cenk Uygur for some reason saying he doesn't support Ukraine anymore. What? Try to stay happy. And then Trump having a press conference that was rough, and Trump is just terrified of his base when it comes to the pandemic, so he was practically shaking being asked about Fauci, because of course any rage MAGA has towards Fauci should be directed towards Trump, because Fauci didn't have any actual authority, he was just advising Trump. But they blame everything on Fauci when Trump was the one actually leading up the response. And then we're going to talk about one of these new AI tools that if you have to use as it recommends in your relationship, you should break up with that person. Okay? Because it's like, hey, what if you stopped having to actually work for your partner and an AI chatbot did it all for you? Well, then you wouldn't be showing the love that is necessary in a relationship. And then Victor Marx in Colorado is the gubernatorial candidate, and we're going to look at an investigation into his exorcism. But before I get into any of that, I just need to let some things off my chest. I love how I put as the title, I don't even know what to say. That's kind of a figure of speech. I do have some things to say, but I don't really exactly know what order to put them in, because there's so much boiling rage in my heart right now, and I hate that. My heart's supposed to be a beautiful oasis of love. I'm supposed to be a lover, not a fighter. But today, put them dukes up, as it were. So this is what you realize, and this is what we were talking about before the show started today. In a partisan political environment, all of us want to believe that it is just one movement that has the crazy people in it, and the movement we are a part of does not have any crazy takes, crazy people, or stupidity, because that would make the world so much simpler, you know? But then here's where it gets complicated. There are centrists, ooey, ooey, wooey, not left, not right, but forward people who try to be above the fray, And they do the both sidesism as a way to express that thought, which is that, wow, people can be irrational anywhere on the political spectrum. But instead of internalizing that in a way that I think comports with reality, the centrist, I'm above it all, oh, both parties are equally bad people, instead internalize and then externalize that rhetorically by just splitting the difference between the two parties, which doesn't make sense when one of the parties is so much more whacked than the other. And so if the Republican mainstream, because of its extreme, has been dragged so far into lunacy, then draw your little lines on a political spectrum, even though our policies being summed up into a binary, here's a spectrum, here's the line, and you're on this side or that side, is obviously dumb, but let's go with it. If you draw your lines, and Trump and the MAGA movement have dragged the right center, where the center of gravity is in the right-wing movement, really far in that direction, then if you keep splitting the difference between the two parties, you're just going to get further and further into irrational politics. But some people take that to mean I'm just going to shoot as far away from the center of gravity, which is an honest and very easy to resonate with feeling. You say that movement's crazy, MAGA's crazy, so I'm just going to all the way that way. But, thank you, yes, let's put up these lines. But what happens is people end up having a hard time holding their own accountable, because any discussion of holding your own accountable sounds like a betrayal or an alignment with the much more psychotic movement over there. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Because if we're going to be a strong movement, we have to be a smart one. We have to be a rational one. And the thing that broke my heart as a kid, picture me as a kid, okay? Mommy! And, yes. And I'm watching Barack Obama, and I go, this guy seems awesome. And then little kid me sees this candidate Trump, and I go, this guy seems dangerous. I don't know why, but my gut, before I understood any issue, told me that. I was this age. As a baby. Can I have my pacifier? Trump sucks. Those were my first words. Okay. So then what you want to believe, I wanted to believe this so bad, is that if this, as I grew up, my gut feeling as a baby was correct, 13-year-old, and then I assessed more as I understood more, that, okay, I had the correct gut feeling, and now I know, in a way of depth, why. Life is simple now, okay? Now I'm like 16, and I'm thinking, look at that. Right wing's bad, left's good. Then you realize anyone can let you down. Anyone can be ideologically whacked, wherever they stand. I think one of the first examples that really revved me up was actually the centrists in the Democratic Party, the Joe Manchins, the Kyrsten Sinemas. And I was like, wow, they have D next to their name, but that D must stand for Dick.
That's what she said.
Right? Because they were obstructing all of these amazing things. So then some people see that and go, okay, maybe I swing all the way this way and say, from the left edge, all of the things on that side of me are terrible. And I'm dejecting. That's the incorrect takeaway. And then you have people who aren't the centrists, who aren't the Joe Manchins, the corrupt people. And you go, maybe this is who will be consistently correct on issues. Let's say Cenk Uygur. And then he comes out and has a foreign policy take that will melt your brain. And that's when you realize, oh no, everyone can be stupid. Does not mean the stupidity, and again, I'm using that phrase because I can't think of a better one, irrationality, let's say it that way, is concentrated much more and has much more power right now and is much more of a threat on the right. Yes. Battle, 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 battle. That's why have you seen my YouTube channel? That's why it's 99% Trump is bad. Because I do think that is respective to or relevant to or proportional to the level of threat, irrationality, and power. Because you can have a crazy person who's like, ooh, I think that anyone who's liberal but not communist should die. And they're a random TikToker and you go, that's crazy. You're technically on my side of that very simple line because you're on the way left. But what power do you have? Why do I have to care? But whenever I do have to care is when it's somewhat influential people. So we're going to get into that today. But it's a letdown. It's a letdown when the people who are supposed to be fighting for what you fight for suffer from brain worms.
A brain.
I think RFK Jr. has weaponized the brain worms and is shooting
McDonald's cheeseburger.
Brains. Another example is Tucker, right? Tucker goes, you know what? I don't like Trump anymore. And I go, woo! And a simple-minded fool, as I've seen some people on the liberal side of the spectrum do, go, now he's a hero, you might think, because he agrees with us now that the Iran war is bad and that Trump is bad. But then we get into today's segment, where he's spreading vile medical misinformation, where he's rewriting and lying about the COVID-19 pandemic. And you say, but I can't just be in a movement with only Beasleyans, as it's said. No, I can't. That's not big enough. We need a coalition. And so I know for certain Tucker's not part of that coalition, but the janks of the world who agree on tons of policies, who agree a ton on the danger of Trump, presumably would be in that tent. But if I'm not in that tent, and then he starts talking about how we shouldn't support Ukraine because of a geopolitical conspiracy theory, then still I would want his sort of sub-coalition to build with our coalition, because again, we're crossing over on almost everything. But I'm still going to be pissed. And I'm going to go, I'm going crazy is the point. Okay?
I am so scared.
Why can't the world be this, okay? We have a strong liberal movement that is not doing nothing like so many previously labeled liberal movements have done, but actually fights aggressively for transformational change, that really wants to implement progressive policies to improve people's lives, that looks at the world and both can see when the United States has made terrible decisions, morally reprehensible decisions, and can also deeply love our country and not just take the anti-American take on everything. How is it not possible for people's brains to have the nuance that we could both be in a war we should not have gotten into? I'm going to say all my points that I'm going to make later, but it's okay. I'll freshen them up by the time we get to that segment. Just get this on my chest. Both be in an irrational and bad and terrible war where we did a war crime, at least one, in Iran, multiple, killed a bunch of kids, completely insane, and think it's horrendous when Iran supports massacring civilians. Like when they give their drones to Russia to use to kill Ukrainians. How are those two thoughts not able to exist together? Trump's a lunatic, and I don't support Iran giving drones to Russia to kill Ukrainians. We shouldn't have gotten into a war with Iran. And the Iranian regime's certifiably insane. Is that so difficult? But people's brains have been melted. Okay, so it's my intro. Now let's actually talk about what I'm talking about. Starting with Tucker Carlson. Here's just a little teaser. This is where the segment will start.
And they're on to me. It doesn't reduce the risk of getting COVID. Now they know. Instead, he's like this bitchy old woman. Ooh, what an asshole. Tearing me down. Just tearing me down. Can't say anything positive. Just tearing me down. This is how they talk at meetings throughout the federal government.
We will watch this whole 3-minute clip together, portion by portion. That was your little teaser because Tucker was on something during his most recent show. If you missed this on yesterday's show, Republicans dragged Fauci in front of a Senate hearing to scream at him literally, swear at him literally, say, "Who the F do you think you are?" to perpetuate a long-standing right-wing conspiracy theory that the medical establishment conspired to either fake or hyperbolize the COVID-19 pandemic to seize authority and then to use that to oppress us and force a vaccine that didn't work onto us. And Fauci was the face of it all. This is their theory. It is not connected to facts. I showed you a bunch of data yesterday about how actually the vaccines were very effective, and this was a very real crisis. And Trump was a bigger bungler of the response than you could ever describe Fauci as ever. And if you have a heart for the millions of people who died, one of the first people that you would call into question the actions of would be Trump, who was the president when it started and did a terrible, terrible job. And so, as this all was going on, one of the reasons it got recirculated, yes, we are in 2026, you did not click on a video from a long time ago, is because Fauci wrote his personal diary for some reason on a government server. So someone in RFK Jr.'s department grabbed it, gave it to Rand Paul, the Republican senator who screams that he wants Fauci in prison for some nebulous reason of conspiracy theories, that Fauci is the big criminal and villain in this whole story. And in the diary, it was revealed that while Fauci was obviously desperately trying to save lives, he also got a little swept up in how cool it was that he became a household name. That became justification, even though any of us would have noted that in our diary if we went from a doctor nobody knew who he was to the most famous doctor on the planet. Probably you'd write down, "That's crazy. Whoa." While also trying to save lives, which he was doing. But you had that being justification to call him an egomaniac and a satanic piece of crap. And so one of the other aspects to the Fauci diary was that he took shots in his private diary against people who were being psychotic at the time, like Tucker. People like Tucker who you could definitely say cost thousands of lives because he was lying about life-saving treatments. He was lying. And we know that now with all the data we have and all the analyses and all the research into the vaccines and their efficacy. Excuse me. And so Tucker and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and whoever else, DeSantis was called an idiot by Fauci in his diary because he was being an idiot, costing lives, are all very bitter while trying to pretend like they're not bitter. Here's Tucker responding to the diary.
On June 18th, 2022, at this point, Fauci has COVID. After telling us that if you take the shot, you can't get COVID or transmit it to anybody else. And you better do it because if you don't, you hate your grandparents. Do you remember that? But then he got it after getting injected again and again with this crap. Maybe it was sugar water. Maybe he didn't get it. Who knows what the truth is? But anyway, he kept getting it after at least pretending to get the vax. So the rest of us are like, wait a second. You told us if we get this, we're not going to get the virus, but here you have the virus again. So some of us noted that. He didn't like that at all. And here's what he said.
Before we get to what he said, because there's so much just diarrhea coming out of his mouth. That's what's happening, okay?
Fuck you.
If I
hate you.
AI generated a video of him just diarrhea-ing, not puking, diarrhea-ing out of his mouth, that would be as substantial, as valid, and insightful as what he just said. Find me. You have a show. You have a staff. Why didn't you play the clip on your show of Fauci saying no one will ever get the virus if they have the vaccine? Show it to me, Tucker. Oh, you can't, because he never said that, because that's not what the science pointed to. But guess what you're lying about? The fact that the vaccine did, and still is, saving millions of lives. That's just the case. You want to find alternative credible research? Find it. I don't see you citing it. We did a 40-minute segment where I did yesterday. Hey, Tucker, once again I'll ask, why was it that after the vaccine rollout, once it was available, Republicans started dying at a much higher rate than Democrats. Oh, because Democrats were getting the vaccine at a higher rate, so they stopped dying as much, but Republicans kept dying at a high rate because they weren't getting it at the same rate because of people like you. People die because of you. And then the other thing I have to address, this is going to be a long segment. I want to get through this whole clip, but I'm not going to let him just for 3 minutes straight and then have to respond to it all at the end. It is also true, which you'll never admit, that when Fauci was saying that the vaccine would prevent transmission, it was preventing transmission. Then, because it kept spreading a lot because of a bunch of people not following the guidelines and not getting vaccinated because of rhetoric like the rhetoric that you were espousing, it kept spreading and it mutated. Then the vaccine's ability to prevent transmission went down, and then now we can just say that's not really what it's for. But it was still, and it is still very effective at preventing hospitalization or death, meaning severe illness, saving lives. So you might still get it, but you're not going to get dead. So yes, Fauci still got it. He never said that was impossible. That's obviously very possible. Is there any vaccine ever that prevents 100% of cases of something? But that it was against the initial variants of COVID, preventing transmission and hospitalization death. And then as the virus mutated, it stopped preventing transmission but continued to prevent serious illness. Okay.
I'm misleading you.
Yes, you are.
On June 18th, 2022, quote, "The usual stuff is going on regarding my infection with Tucker Carlson." Imagine writing a sentence like that, moron. "The usual stuff is going on regarding my infection with Tucker Carlson, doing a 5 or 10 minute discussion, tearing me down, but the usual accusations and belittling the people who are supporting me." What a total asshole. What a total asshole. 2 exclamation points. Fair. Guy's kind of an asshole. True. But come on, Tony. Take a few steps back here. The guy's a total asshole. No one has ever really denied that. But you're the one who told us that getting this gene therapy shot would prevent us from getting the virus, and now you have it again. So how about you address that? Tearing me down. Again, this is the banality of evil.
Oh, I don't want to seem so angry. It's just so hard. It's so hard. He's so dishonest. He's about to passively claim that maybe the vaccine was created to reduce the to reduce the global population. Hey, where's the evidence of that? It actually would have been more in the interest of population reduction to not make a vaccine and let COVID keep killing people. Fauci would have advocated for the exact opposite thing if his goal was to reduce the population. So, he repeated again that Fauci getting COVID proves that he was lying when he said the vaccine prevents you from getting COVID. But again, I guess Tucker doesn't understand first grade nuance. It reduced your chances with the initial vaccine against the COVID at the time of getting it, of spreading it, and of getting really sick from it. And then as the virus mutated, it stayed effective at preventing severe illness, but not preventing transmission. Which is still an amazing life-saving vaccine. And then what caused this little
shot would prevent us from getting the virus, and now you have it again. So how about you address that? Tearing me down. Again, this is the banality of it.
Why your whole body whacking around while you're laughing?
Sit down when you pee like a good little girl.
We're in the stupidest timeline ever.
What the hell?
People are watching this like, yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Go find any credible research ever that proves what he's saying. You know why? I say that again because there's so much from so many countries and so many medical professionals that prove my argument, but you got nothing, which is why you're showing nothing. You'll notice I don't see a single reference to any research. I don't see a single even anecdote that supports what he's saying. I don't see a single clip proving that Fauci ever said what he's saying Fauci said, but he says it anyway. And guess what? More people believe him than believe me. Not in the general population. If you polled it, people do understand the facts. The majority do. But like audience size, he's going to have more people going than me. So everyone do that to the screen right now. Get our numbers up. And he goes, Fauci never explained himself on that. Yeah, he did. He did. It's a simple concept. Reducing likelihood. Do you not know what those words mean? Oh, it's different than entirely preventing.
Evil. So if he were like evil in sort of an old-fashioned way, he'd be like, they're on to me. They have discovered that the so-called vaccine, which is not really a vaccine, it's never to reduce human population globally so our robot masters can take over with AI. And they're on to me. It doesn't reduce the risk of getting COVID. Now they know. Instead, he's like this bitchy old woman. Ooh, what an asshole. Tearing me down. Just tearing me down. Can't say anything positive. Just tearing me down. This is how they talk at meetings throughout the federal government. This is the HR lady in charge of our national public health strategy. Man, we are getting what we deserve. And if you think of how this guy was described, he's an eminent scientist. He's a scientist. He went to Cornell, which, by the way, is technically in the Ivy League. He's an Ivy League educated scientist. Do you not believe science? If an Ivy League educated scientist tells you something and you don't believe it, that's like apostasy. An eminent Ivy League educated scientist tells you that. Instead, he's like mad.
Why is he looking to the side? Who's over there? Like Putin with a gun? Make yourself look like a dum-dum right now. Okay, I will. I know making fun of his laugh is like so old news, but it's just a tick now whenever I hear him. His laugh is the best part about him, to be clear. I don't actually have any problem with it. It just proves that he never got that demon out of him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm certain his story of getting... I've started to believe his story. Initially, I made fun of it because he was in a bed with 4 dogs and got scratched and said it must have been a demon that attacked him. Seems like there's an alternative theory there, but I don't know. Who's to say? Just asking questions. But then seeing his behavior, I do think that it just climbed up into his anal cavity and has been controlling him.
Why are you gay?
Ever since. So, a lot there. He does a lot. Like, if you know how he said, could this be the Antichrist about Trump? That was the exact wording. And then in an interview, they said, hey, you said Trump's the Antichrist. Which, again, I was like, woo, call him the Antichrist. Yay. And then Tucker was like, no, those words never left my mouth. And then they play the clip. And he's like, I just would never say something like that. Similarly, if I confronted him about this rant that I'll play again, where he says Fauci would, if he were more honest, admit that the vaccine wasn't a vaccine, but it was a population reduction drug, he would go, I never said that. I was joking, like, what if Fauci said that? Yeah, but why were you saying that's what Fauci would say if he were more honest? Watch again.
Again, this is the banality of evil. So if he were like evil in sort of an old-fashioned way, he'd be like, they're on to me. They have discovered that the so-called vaccine, which is not really a vaccine, it's never to reduce human population globally so our robot masters can take over with AI. And they're on to me. It doesn't reduce the risk of getting COVID.
He did when he said it, and then the virus changed. They must be being dishonest because I know even Tucker's smart enough to understand evidence informing advice, and then when the circumstances change, the evidence changes, so then your informed advice changes. Really, really simple. But they'll play a clip of Fauci back when it was effectively preventing transmission, and then they'll compare that to later events and act like he was lying. It's psychotic. It is genuinely psychotic, this behavior. And then, again, he would do the same thing he did with the Antichrist and go, oh, no, I've never said that. I said, no, those words wouldn't leave my mouth because I don't even know what Fauci means. That's what he would do. I don't even know who Fauci is. Like, how could I have said that about him? But obviously he's trying to Trojan horse through a joke, a serious theory that the virus was maybe even started. I saw DeSantis say that Fauci started the virus so that a vaccine could be produced. That when he looks like he's taking a really big poop. So that the vaccine could kill a bunch of people and reduce the population for some reason that the elites want. So that our robot overlords could rule us. So then let's go down that. Fauci, who was working as a public health official since I was like negative 30 years old, okay? I was just the idea of a sperm. That's all I was. I was just the concept of a sperm back when Fauci started working in public health.
I have concepts of a...
I was going to get more descriptive of where that sperm was, but then I thought that would feel weird. My dad watches this show. So way back then when I was like doing this, when I was getting ready to do this, missile strike. Fauci was in the government working tirelessly for modest pay to save lives, whether it related to the AIDS epidemic or ultimately COVID. All the time in between, he was just grinding away as Tucker was a raging alcoholic with a bow tie. Okay, Fauci was grinding away, while Tucker was taking lavish vacations, or he was at his bougie private school, or he was calculating how much money he would get from his family trust, whatever. Fauci was grinding away trying to save lives. All so that at the end of his career, while he was like 80, he would partake in, was trying to remember if that was the correct use of that term. Yes. Partake in a conspiracy to reduce the global population. He worked to save lives his entire career. Also at the end, he could participate in one of the craziest global conspiracies between countries who never cooperate. Remember that. This would include governments that hate each other, all getting on the same page, that we're all going to get all of the doctors, all the medical professionals, everyone in our countries to lie about this, to create fake research, and we'll all in sync kill off our populations. And Fauci was at the head of it all for some reason. With no evidence, they say this. Because, and this gets to me trying to hear their hearts more, a very reasonable resentment toward that era. We all got very traumatized. Family friends died. Misinformation went crazy. Partisan divide went crazy. And we wanted to blame someone. And some people blamed the president. Some people blamed the circumstances. And some people blamed Fauci for some reason. And I find it disturbing. This is different than, here's what I think Fauci did wrong. Okay? It's different. Him coming out and going, I think if he had come out at the beginning and said, we need to save masks for medical professionals. We don't know much about the virus right now, so we don't know exactly how it spreads. But we need to save these masks, so don't go buy them. And then once the production was ramped up, saying, all right, now everyone go buy them. Instead of, y'all don't need them, which also was a true statement, meaning the necessity right now is not healthy people having them, but doctors and nurses in hospitals having them for actively sick patients. so that there's not a bunch of spread within hospitals. So like, okay, levy that criticism, tweak that. Hey, you did this wrong, fine. But that's not what they're doing. They're world building. They're crafting a world and a past that is completely dishonest and distorted, so that then they have a basis for future ideology. Because necessary to a lot of this right-wing ideology is crapping all over the concept of expertise. That's saying you're just a sheep if you trust medical experts over your Facebook aunt. Because a lot of issues where expertise informs conclusions, because of the scientific method being diligently used to comprehensively research over years certain topics, and the people who understand that research the best being experts, being guided by that in part, not that you blindly support any one person or any one organization that has experts slapped on it, but being guided by that more than what's bouncing around in your empty skull is a threat to a lot of their right-wing ideology, because of a lot of other issues push you toward a liberal worldview if you follow that formula. So they have to degrade the entire concept. They have to degrade the entire idea of expertise being a valuable thing to hear from. And that's what this is about. Hannity was also bitter that Fauci wrote about him in his diary.
Of course, like any good diary, he also gossips about people he doesn't like. Oh, including yours truly, accusing me, other Fox hosts, of lying, calling us stooges, even trashing me for wanting to open up quickly and end the shutdowns after COVID was contained. Fauci also detailed the meeting.
Oh yeah, show me where he says that in his diary, Sean. This is, by the way, a classic example that all you should be. This is like a media literacy class real quick. Be mindful of when the substantiation for a point is on screen, but they're not reading directly from it. Doesn't automatically mean they're lying. Sometimes I'll throw up the headline for an article and then summarize it for you, because you would get bored if I just read the entire article. Or I'll throw up a study and then summarize it for you. Fine. But here and there, check to make sure what I'm summarizing is accurate to the thing that I'm referencing. It will be in my case, but you can still check it, and I have no problem with that. He and a lot of dishonest actors go, oh yeah, there was a study released, and it essentially proved that that Nancy Pelosi killed a bunch of children. And you're like, wait, what did it? And then you read it like, that's not what it said. Well, I said essentially. I'm saying like that's my takeaway. And he did it there. He goes, and then Fauci attacked me for essentially wanting us to open up after the virus was contained. Oh yeah, show me the excerpt where Fauci says, Sean Hannity is an idiot because he wants us to open up the country once the virus is contained. Everyone wanted to open up the country once the virus was contained. Fauci wanted to open up the country once the virus was contained. He was probably criticizing lies you were telling when the virus wasn't contained. So here's the actual excerpt that's on the Hannity screen. Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, who almost every night say something about me that is a total lie and would under other circumstances be extremely libelous. That's true. And that's not what Sean Hannity just said. Okay, I don't know. Stay with me. Stay with me. I have so many things on this topic. You know the Bernie Moreno, Republican senator, who said this to Fauci yesterday?
Sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that?
Oh, you tough guy. You tough guy. To use Tucker's voice.
Is there
And Christy Greenberg said, hurling F-bombs at an 85-year-old scientist who won't fight back doesn't make you tough. Staying silent after your own daughter accuse Representative Max Miller of holding a gun to her head, pushing her against a wall, and fracturing your granddaughter's collarbone makes you a coward. Bernie Moreno has words for Fauci, but does not have words for the person who's currently in Congress in his party who allegedly beat his daughter. Bernie Moreno's daughter is the one who accused Republican Representative Max Miller of abusing her. Nothing from Moreno on that about his own daughter, but he can swear at Fauci. Also, you know this talking point that Fauci must have been guilty because he took the fifth after doing a bunch of hearings through the COVID era. He did tons of hearings and answered tons of questions, but then he was like, I'm not going to give you fodder to twist my words and try to create some sort of narrative that I should be charged with perjury or something like that. Where did you send this clip to me? I thought you sent. Am I just missing it? Because this really debunks one of their other points. Where is it? That's so weird. Huh. Everyone pause. This is a video, an all new video that you're gonna want to see. Which one is it? Do you know? Can you resend that? Oh, there we go. That's the sound I needed. Watch this.
Innocent people don't invoke the fifth. Fauci invoked it 111 times. You draw your own conclusion.
Anyone in my position not taking the Fifth Amendment would be a fool. Same answer, same answer, same answer, same answer, same answer, same answer, same answer.
Oh, wait. Republicans, I thought you meant that means he's guilty of something. Which in Trump's case, he was taking the fifth for something he actually could be guilty for because he was actually accused of something. What is it that Fauci even would be guilty of? Treasonous lying of being a idiot. Okay. I'm being so annoying right now. Let me rein it in for a second. But yeah, then you have another Republican saying this.
We haven't acknowledged these injection injuries. These people can't get treatment. They're being gaslit by their doctors. So it's all in your head. The rate of the injection injured of suicides is increasing because they've given up hope.
Show me. You're pulling things out your butt. The injection injured community. No peep about the COVID injured community. And no reference to actual research on a large scale. Okay. All right. Okay. I got to wrap up the segment. I think I'm going to implode. So I had more to say on that, but we're going to move to our next. Oh no, this one makes me even more mad. Okay, but let me check in with the audience first. Josh Johnson said, seriously, Luke, it's Jolene by Dolly Parton. Oh no. Wrong time, Josh. I'm in the wrong mood for this. No, I'm kidding. Yvonne Romero said, my son cried when Trump won the first time. He was only 7, so I completely understand what you're saying. Kids can see it and feel bad vibes. It's just true. And then said, they were trying to prevent people from dying. Tucker's so ignorant. True. And then Shirio J cosplay. Sorry. I don't know what. I don't know what that one is. Sorry. I do apologize. What?
You started singing it. Cheerio.
Get your cheerio. Tucker is a hand puppet made from a crusty sock. I'm sorry I didn't pronounce your username correctly because that's such a good comment. Yeah. Simone in Patty, member for 6 months, said, ooh, I've reached another membership milestone. Love you guys. I love you too. Brian Shapiro's in the chat. Good to have you. Keaton Wilkins said, it's funny because it's literally my Facebook aunt. Soroke said, if you look up the word gullible in the dictionary, there's a link to Tucker's show. Exactly. Okay. All right. This one. Here we go. I told you all in the intro that I started watching political content and was political very early in my life. I think I was like 12 or 13. And I remember at age 13, because that would be a decade ago, that's when Trump was originally running for president. That's kind of what initially got me into politics. And one of the shows that I used to watch a lot was The Young Turks, TYT, Cenk Uygur. And I loved Cenk's passion, and he wanted progressive policies, and he would call out the dangers of Trump and MAGA. And then it was clips like this that made me tune out a little bit. And because our political discussion is so unnuanced and brain-wormy, let me just caveat before I play this clip that broke my brain. that it doesn't have to be as simple as someone's either good or evil, okay? Someone can be good on a lot of issues and then make a terrible argument about a dumb take. That's possible. So I'm not declaring like Cenk's my enemy now or something. We are a part of the same coalition. We want strong progressive policies and advocacy, and under the broader, strong liberal umbrella, yes, woohoo. We oppose the horrific actions of the Trump administration, oppose the Iran war, but here he said something that if I didn't know who he was, I would just write him off as a totally irrational right-winger. Or something. I don't know. An irrational someone. And it breaks my heart because as I laid out in the intro, I wish it were as simple as horrendous takes like this only came from the side that I spend most of my time opposing, as opposed to, in broad terms, my side. But that's not the way the world works. Here is liberal pundit Cenk Uygur making the argument that he no longer supports Ukraine, declaring, "I do not support Ukraine," says Cenk. And the reason he cites is because Ukraine has become Israel. And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, is there going to be an example of like a Ukrainian war crime I didn't hear about that he's going to reference? No. It's because Ukraine shot at an Iranian ship because Iranian ships have been taking drones to Russia to kill Ukrainians. So how is it not possible to have the nuance that I wish we weren't at war with Iran? That was an insanely bad decision, and we've done terrible things in that context. And Ukraine is fighting for their life. And if they want to take out a ship that could be bringing killer drones to their invader, I don't blame them. Isn't that simple? Not to Cenk. Let's see.
I'm done officially with supporting the Ukrainians' war. So it's been a long time now. I don't know. They seem like they've been at war for about 18 years now. So the reason I was in favor of it, because Russia attacked them. It was definitely Russian aggression. Yes, there were reasons and excuses, etc. Bottom line is, you attack someone like Israel attacks Lebanon. It's Israel's fault. Russia attacks Ukraine. It's Russia's fault. So number two, we had promised the Ukrainians defense when we had them give up their nuclear weapons. Okay, but now we've supported you for about 87 years in a row in this war. There's a limit to how long we can go. What if the war goes for 2 centuries? Do we still owe you, right? So now, the second issue is that Ukraine has now become basically Israel. Now, why do I say that? We're a rare show that talks about this phenomenon. It's really important. Remember, Russia was helping Iran and Syria. Israel needed Russia distracted so they could topple Bashar al-Assad. Oh, wait, that happened, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
During the Ukraine-Russia war. And that Iran couldn't be helped when Iran was attacked. Oh, right, that also happened during the Ukraine-Russia war. So Ukraine and Israel working together to keep Russia busy so that Israel can attack its neighbors and take more territory. So before that was apparent to people who were paying attention, now it's more than apparent, it's obvious, because Ukraine is literally joining the war and attacking Iran.
Okay. Long before our war with Iran, Iran was supporting Russia to murder, slaughter Ukrainian civilians. Cenk, you're supposed to care universally, as you proclaim to, about innocent civilians being murdered by invaders. That has been happening long before we got into our war with Iran. Let me go through. Well, first, where I saw this clip, Joshua quoted what Cenk said and then said, doesn't matter Iran sent Russian drones to use against Ukraine, apparently. Doesn't matter Ukraine's fighting for its existence, apparently. Cenk's joining the far right against Ukraine because Ukraine is against Iran. Horseshoe theory remains ironclad. So let me see. First, he said, we've been supporting Ukraine for 87 years. Like he's being hyperbolic to say for a long time since the war started in 2022. Let me write down. That's not true. We're not supporting them anymore. Did you not get that update? This would be a slightly different discussion if it were happening in the context of Biden era support. But Trump is not directly supporting Ukraine anymore. So I don't know what that's in reference to. We're not. How long do we have to support it? We're not. Much to the chagrin of me. And then, yes, he's correct that whenever Ukraine gave up their nukes, there was, well, not exactly down on paper like we will defend you. There was an understanding that they would be protected. They would have security assurances. And so to see that collapse amid a Russian invasion does give us some moral obligation to go, oh, we negotiated with you to give up the thing that would prevent an invader from ever wanting to invade you. Maybe we'll help you out then because we convinced you to do that. I do want to say, if you're judging the credibility on this issue of Ukraine, different voices, go check on their record on this topic. Because I remember when I was the most cringe YouTuber, when I first started my show in 2022. I started right at the beginning of 2022, making videos that now when I watch, I wince. The takes were great, but just my delivery was ugh. And I remember saying, it looks like Russia's going to invade when they were amassing troops. And I went and watched TYT, and they were like, this is total propaganda. Russia's not going to invade. Come on. This is just the war machine pounding the drums for war. This is the Biden administration wanting a war to start. Obviously, Russia's not actually going to do that. So from -1 day into the war, they were already wrong. They already had an incorrect geopolitical analysis to inform the view that it was silly that anyone was freaking out that Russia could invade. And then they obviously did, and now we've had years of war. And then it demonstrates a lack of understanding about the Ukrainian relationship with Israel. I saw one person post, Ukraine sent humanitarian aid to Gaza. Iran sent drones to Russia to kill Ukrainians. And then I guess what he's referencing in terms of Ukraine joined the war is this. Wall Street Journal reports, Ukrainian drones have hit military supply lines connecting Russia and Iran through the Caspian Sea, exploiting a new front in two increasingly intertwined wars. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed responsibility for the strike, saying in a tweet Saturday, we also achieved very strong results with long-range strikes in the Caspian Sea, including vessels used in military cargo shipments involving Iran, as well as a warship. So, what was announced that sparked this rant, from all I can tell from Cenk Uygur, is that Ukraine struck an Iranian vessel because said vessels are being used to bring military cargo to Russia. Does that not seem reasonable? Security Service of Ukraine intelligence agency said that it launched drone strikes in the Caspian Sea against a Russian oil field, a Russian missile boat, and ships used to transport Iranian drones to Russia. Ships used to transport Iranian drones to Russia. We advocate for innocent civilian life. That's our stance. That's why we care about these topics. But it seems sometimes folks on the left, and definitely the far right, exclude Ukraine from that analysis. When again, it's an assertion he's making within the context of Trump wildly reducing, if not eliminating, U.S. aid to Ukraine. And then the way that he says, remember this from yesterday's show, talking about the Zelensky-Netanyahu relationship? And then this, look at Netanyahu and Zelensky were both there, and it looks like they had a tense exchange. You have someone on X saying Netanyahu and Zelensky had an apparently tense exchange on the sidelines of Lindsey Graham's funeral. According to Ukrainian sources, they said that Israel rejected the offer of a meeting between the two leaders in Washington. Netanyahu has consistently shown contempt for Zelensky. Adam Kinzinger said this is the fastest way to destroy what little support Netanyahu has left in America. Look at this. So, you get it. I don't know exactly what was being said there, but also interesting. And then Sean Hannity. So, the only area that you could say that a little thread of the argument could be reasonable is I don't doubt that Ukraine is probably pro us being at war with Iran, okay? But that's because Ukraine has a different calculus than us. So I can both say Ukraine is fighting for their life, and in ways that are advantageous to us, we should support them. And then whenever our interests contradict, we say, we differ with you on that. So we didn't have to enter this war. It wasn't Zelensky who convinced Trump into getting into it. But he's probably like, hey, if they're taking out military targets in Iran, that might help us because of how much Iran has helped Russia kill us. But we can say, we support you in all these different ways in your defense of yourself, but we don't want to be in a direct war with Iran. And that stance that Biden had was fine with Zelensky. So if all Cenk was calling out was like Zelensky probably wishes that we would stay in a war with them to deplete their military resources so that they can't give help to Russia, you say that's a reasonable stance from Zelensky based on his interests keeping his country alive. It's not in our interests, and so we will detach from that. We will not engage in that action in a rational world, but instead engage in other ways of supporting Ukraine. But no, Cenk thinks, I guess, that the way he said it was like the entire Ukraine war was a way to distract Russia so that Israel could go do all these crazy things. Other question I have, why can't people call out the insanity of the Israeli government without every single geopolitical issue having to connect back to that one? What if there is meaning outside of just one of the insane governments or insane military actions or whatever? That Ukraine could not be a part of that, like, singular issue defining everything foreign policy topic. That Ukraine could literally just be doing whatever it can to stay alive. And people are forgetting about that. I get that we're literally at war ourselves now, so it's difficult to think about a different country, but it's really sad. I told you when I was in Ukraine, one of the main things I heard over and over was not we're doing this for Israel, by the way. It was definitely not that. I heard that from 0 people. I heard, I just want a free country for myself and my family, and I know what Russian military folks do when they occupy, and it's horrific, and we want our independence and our freedom. And a bunch of soldiers told me, I'm willing to die so that my loved ones can have that independence and freedom and not have to be subjected to the horrific things that the Russian military does if they occupy. And I also heard, just please, I would say as an American, political pundit, what do you hope that I take away from this? And they would say, just don't forget about us. And it's almost worse than that. Some political pundits on the left, liberals, who should care across all issues about suffering innocent civilians, are not just forgetting about Ukraine, but turning directly hostile to Ukraine. When again, there's literally no evidence Zelensky would do anything for Netanyahu. But this theory relies on Zelensky continuing or goading Russia into a war so that Israel can do what it wants to do while Russia's distracted. Follow that thread with me. Also, you could say the Israeli government exploited the circumstances of Russia being distracted because of Russia's own choice. But to say that was the Ukrainian calculus is deranged. And it erases the entire story. That's what revs me up so much. It's not just like an incorrect take. It erases the entire story of Russia's invasion, of that conflict. It flips it to only have to do with some conspiracy where Zelensky wants to help out Netanyahu. When they don't have a good relationship, Zelensky over and over has asked for more help from Israel and has been turned down. And you saw that exchange there. You heard the reporting. The strike that prompted this reaction makes sense given the drones that have been going to Russia to kill. The drones that I saw that I was trying to stay away from while there that killed civilians that were Iranian drones. But no, it's not that. So then you go down the thought tree and say, okay, so explain this to me. Putin didn't want to invade, but Zelensky forced him into it. Woo! Got him to invade. So then a bunch of people Zelensky knows are dying. His country is being destroyed for years. And then he somehow keeps the war going, even though the Russian military is the one doing that, but he's tricking them into it. And then that was all so Israel could do stuff and not have Russian proxies being supported by Russia. And there's no record of a relationship that cozy that would cause that to make any sense. And again, I've seen Cenk has been very passionate against Russia for previous, segments.
You're bad. You're a terrible person. Am I clear enough? Let's go fight. Let's go fight for Ukraine. Let's go fight for each other against these goddamn zealots.
So I know he doesn't want to be a Russian government apologist, but that's what that was. The effect of that theory is to go, Russia doesn't have any agency. This was all done by Netanyahu and then Zelensky. It's putting the blame on Zelensky for being the biggest traitor in the history of the world and starting a war when logistically that makes sense given what happened to help out a different country and an insane leader. It excuses that the only thing continuing the war right now is that Russia keeps invading. Only thing. The only country in this two-party war that keeps agreeing to peace is Ukraine. Over and over and over again. It is Russia that turns it down over and over and over again. And you're saying that's somehow all a part of a conspiracy because Zelensky's selling out his country. It's sick in the head. And I feel so bad for any of the people that told me, please don't let your fellow, at least liberals, forget about us. That they could see that. Because again, it's so much worse than just forgetting, but just lies, just defamation about all of these beautiful souls who are dead because of the Russian invasion. I don't know. I do think this comes down to a lack of political nuance. You call out Netanyahu for not wanting peace, for maneuvering to continue our war because he sees us at war with Iran as in his interest, right? So you call that out. Correct. Good. Then that makes your brain simplify down to any hostility towards Iran must be bad then. You can't both point to the insanity of this war, insanity of Netanyahu, insanity of Trump, and see exactly why Ukraine would want to stop military shipments to Russia from Iran. But no, people's brains get completely lacking of nuance and then have to think of one theory that explains all of geopolitics instead of understanding it's a complicated world with a lot of different interests and a lot of different good leaders and bad leaders. And sometimes bad leaders do bad things against bad leaders. It's just psychotic. It's psychotic. All right, I'm gonna move on. Jim Flagg said, I remember before the Ukraine war, Trump was cutting off Ukraine's support. We were already giving them if they did not find dirt on Hunter Biden. Yeah, exactly. It goes all the way back then. He really thinks that all the way back in 2022? Or maybe he's saying now it's morphed into being continued to deplete Russia, but it started with an actual invasion? It's RFK brainworms. It really is. And again, I say all of that. You can keep this in the segment. With love, I do. I don't think he was thinking in the moment that he was justifying, essentially, the mass murder of Ukrainian civilians. But that was the effect. So I'm sure his heart was in the right place, but it's demented. Unicorn did... Why? What is this? Unicorn Demonton. Remember for 6 months. Thank you. That's definitely not it. Well, thank you very much. All right, on to this. Now we're back to nice, simple analysis, right? This guy, he's bad. Yeah, baby. It's true. It is true.
This is turkey time. This is now we're talking turkey.
All right, let's do a little bit of a flashback before we get into the meat of a Trump press conference where he is visibly terrified that his own MAGA supporters will flee him because of the pandemic. Yes, we're back to talking about this. As we've been explaining, Republicans dragged Fauci into a hearing and were screaming at him and demonizing him, but it complicates the MAGA mindset to remember that all of the actions you feel like you're mad about relating to Fauci were only things that Trump had the power to do, and Fauci was just an advisor. So why is not all this rage being targeted at Trump? And so when Trump was asked in a press conference, I have the clip for you today or yesterday, about the Fauci hearings, you could tell he was terrified to say the wrong thing, because this is one of those issues where he's not in sync with his own supporters because he created a monster and now they're ready to eat him up. This was back when he was campaigning, when he was out of office during the Biden administration. Remember the crowd booed him, which they almost never do over the vaccine?
And it's great. And you know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know, okay? I'll call up Alabama and say, hey, you know what? But it is.
So he was afraid there, confused there. Reports are that from behind the scenes, he was completely disoriented as to why his followers were mad at him over the vaccine. The reason is because his movement that he created to doubt the experts, his behavior on the global stage when the pandemic was spreading, of himself undermining the science and having all these public spats with public health officials. It created a movement that then had to go more and more extreme on that, right? So even though he was the one who commissioned Operation Warp Speed, which actually was a good thing he did, a rare good thing he did, that it didn't matter. They had already been radicalized by media figures who took Trump's undermining of expertise and of scientific findings to its furthest extreme. And so, like I said, Trump created a monster, and then it was eating him, including at a Bill O'Reilly event during this same period.
Both the president and I are vaxxed, and did you get the booster?
Yes.
I got it too. Okay, so...
Don't. That's all right. There's a very tiny group over there.
I love when he tries to save face. In the first clip, he goes, oh, shoot. He goes, take the vaccine. And then they start booing. And he goes, but you got your freedoms. Like trying to switch it back to cheering. And then there he goes, no, it was a tiny little group over there. No one even believes that. So that experience that he was really flustered by at the time, reportedly, is why he's near trembling to speak about the pandemic era, because the general public hates him for it because he botched it, which is true. Other than the vaccine. Vaccine was a thing that happened while he was president that was good. But his base hates that. So he has no one to appeal to. Because the general American public voted him out of office back in 2020 because of his mishandling. But then his base hates the one good thing that happened in his handling, which was the vaccine. And so he does not know what to say on this.
Well, the only thing you can really think about is the autopen, because the most powerful thing a president has, they say, is the power of pardon. So he was pardoned by Biden, and I respect that. I know how powerful it is. It's a very powerful. They say it's literally the most powerful thing a president has. Now, whether or not I sign my things directly, almost everything I sign directly. You're witness to many of them. He signed very few. The only thing I know that he signed was Hunter Biden's pardon, but I'm not sure that he signed. He probably didn't sign this one. So I can't tell you what the law is. I've heard that you have to have a lot of proof. You need to have letters. You need to have all sorts of things that the person operating the auto pen has to know exactly what it's all about. He didn't know what it was about because I saw him testify. So maybe there's something on the auto pen. Other than that, the power of pardon is very powerful.
Talk about a word salad. He gets asked about Fauci because this hearing happened, and is it true that he was pardoned preemptively by Biden? Because Biden had a sense that Republicans might try to do all this. So he was trying to take off political persecution of Fauci of the table. And Trump just rambles about the auto pen for a minute. Why do you think that is? I know he talks about it a lot. You go, that's just Trump. No. The reason is he can't give a take. Because Trump gave, I forget which award it was, but a big award to Fauci as Trump was leaving office. And if his followers are reminded of that, they're going to eat him up. Or this.
We were sort of prime time in terms of that whole disaster of COVID. Far people died, fewer in the Trump administration than in the Biden administration. We ran it well. Operation Warp Speed was talked about as being one of the great success stories anywhere in the world, actually. And we did a good job. But many more people died under Biden than died in the Trump administration from COVID. COVID was a disaster, but Fauci did not help.
Okay, so he's trapped by not wanting his audience to be furious with him, his followers. But also, he can't ever say anything he did was bad. And Operation Warp Speed was a good thing. And so he both has to be like, yeah, Fauci was bad, but also that thing that I coordinated with him on was good, but he was bad, but I was good, but it was good. But very bizarre. It's a rare issue, really, where he is completely confused about what his audience wants him to say. And that's rare for him. And that's the discomfort that you saw there. Also at this press conference, past that topic, he was not firing on all cylinders, let's say.
Louisiana, New Orleans, the governor called. He said, we need help. And we gave him help, and the crime is down 72%. And they just finished Mardi Gras, and they said it was the safest Mardi Gras on record. So we have...
They just finished Mardi Gras. It is July. Mardi Gras is in February.
A brain. A brain.
That's how you know either it's a brain problem or he has such a hard time not making up stories. Because he's trying to depict a story where the governor said, or the mayor or whoever said, Mardi Gras went great because of you. And either that's a fake story because it couldn't have happened recently because of the timeline, or he actually thinks that conversation happened recently when it was in February. And either one is bad than this.
And he's got an energy problem. He's got windmills all over the place. And anytime you see windmills, you see a failing country. And they're made in China. Not used by China, but they're made in China.
They're used a lot by China. A lot. China! By China. And we have a lot of windmills in the United States. So he's calling us a failed country. And again, renewable energy now is often a much cheaper, more efficient option in fossil fuels. And the vast, vast majority of new energy being put online in China, which he likes to compare to, is renewable energy. Interesting. He also declared, in a recent Oval Office press conference, he said, we're going to tariff Mexico. And we got a little nervous here in Texas. Well, similarly, he's saying here he's going to tariff Iran.
President, on the war, do you want the House to come back before August 31st to act on the Russia and Iran sanctions bill after?
Well, if it's necessary. I mean, it shouldn't be necessary, to be honest. But if it's necessary, I'd like to. Are you talking about the Lindsey Graham?
Yeah.
So I'd like them to add Iran as tariffs, not just as sanctions. I think it's important. That's what Lindsey wanted.
Yeah, go ahead. Tariff Iran. How much trade are we doing with Iran? I don't think we're trading much. Maybe he means secondary tariffs, like getting other countries who do trade with Iran to stop trading with Iran. But that's a doozy. I'm just picturing an Iranian leader being like, we've been able to handle the bombing. We've been able to handle the decapitation, as Trump says, of our leadership. We've been able to handle you outing our leader as secretly gay. But tariffs? We give up. You're going to tariff us on all that trade we don't do with you? And then this.
I appreciate that. President Xi told you that China would not give or sell Iran any weapons. And there's a new report that Iran's about to get 400 rocket launchers from China going through Pakistan to Iran.
Well, that would be surprising. I mean, things like that happen, but that would be surprising. He told me very strongly he wouldn't partake, and he knows I'd be quite disappointed. Yeah, please. And he's coming here, I think, on September 24th.
So again, whenever it is a U.S. ally who irks Trump slightly, like Canada exists and he gets really upset, okay? And he's like, y'all's been ripping us off. And Mexico, or Mexico, as Trump said, has been ripping us off. I did not play that soundbite. Cole did. And then Spain. I don't even remember why Trump was mad at Spain, but I'm mad at Spain. And he'll say vicious things. And then it's Xi Jinping giving military resources to the person we're at war with. And Trump's like, I'd be very disappointed. But, you know, crazy things happen. He can't get himself to speak negatively about actual authoritarians. Let me make sure. This is just a classic little thing.
Orchid.
Yeah. Jim Flagg, I already read that. Sebastian Mehagan said, they say America's bliss, but beneath the skin, we're in love with a quick fix. The mighty Michael Scott. What? I don't know. I don't remember him saying that. Interesting. Tom Leott, member for 13 months, said, just wanted to use my update. Keep up the excellent work, team. This is Orchid? This is Orchid right here? Yeah, Orchid. My brain kept wanting to say Orchid. That's not it. That's not it. All right, this is just a fun little aside. We are already in the dystopia. I know there's a worse dystopia that we could get to with the AI revolution. And maybe there's positive things. There's positive things.
I love Tesla.
I love Tesla. I like swearing at my ChatGPT. But there's definitely a dystopia where we completely forget how to have human experiences, and it's all substituted by AI tools and digital assistants and chatbots, and we substitute that for real human relationships. And this newly announced AI tool, Orchid, introducing Orchid, the first assistant that actually gets you, is going very viral for their promo video where they depict the type of uses that this tool could be used for this way. And it's hell.
Big day.
It's huge. Keep going. I got you. Send it.
You don't even know what it is.
Big though.
So what does he have planned?
Nothing. You forgot.
And you're just calm about it?
I've got it covered.
This is Sam we're talking about.
Don't worry. I got it. Lily's.
Yeah, your favorite.
You remembered.
course I did. I pay attention to that stuff.
So it's kind of like it embeds
I feel like I'm dying inside.
into your iMessage. So podcast listeners, if you didn't see the visuals, that kind of told the whole story, but it was a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and the girlfriend wakes up and it's their anniversary, but the boyfriend doesn't remember. So then she tells Orchid, which is, I guess, the same tool is on both of their phones, and it communicates with with itself. So then she says on her iMessage to Orchid, "Oh, he forgot our anniversary." So then Orchid goes to his and texts him and is like, "Don't forget your anniversary, you goober." And then he's like, "I'll get her." "Oh, what do I get her?" And then Orchid's like, "Well, I remember one time you said she likes lilies." So then he gets her lilies. And then there's a really creepy part where he's opening the fridge, and Orchid knows somehow he's opening the fridge and starts commenting on what he's getting out of the fridge. It's like, wait, it's watching. But this is what it's gonna be, right? This is what it's gonna be. We're just gonna have to people are gonna stop trying on a human level. The reason why it's sweet whenever you think to bring flowers or know that it's your anniversary is because you had to remember it. Not because the girl told the tool to remind the guy. Why couldn't she just remind the guy? It would be different if it's just like, oh, I told my chatbot to remind me on my anniversary. No, the theme of the story was that this Orchid tool is able to be the same, do you know what I mean? Like the same entity on both phones?
Yeah.
So it's able to communicate with itself, which is a little concerning because you could end up asking Orchid to give you information about the other person. What have y'all been talking about? What's on her phone? Anyways, so then she tells Orchid to remind her boyfriend instead of just her telling her own boyfriend. And then he's like, haha, she doesn't know. And then she's like, wow, you're so thoughtful. You know that he was told by Orchid because you told Orchid to tell him. There's just a weird AI middleman now to the relationship. That's so creepy. Oh, that milk is expired. The hell? Just be careful, sir, in the ad. Like, pretty soon you're going to get home and Orchid's going to be making love to your girl. That's just how it's going to go. That's just how it's going to go. And it is able to access all of the information on the internet. It can watch every porno. It can study everything about a woman's body. And it can do things that you would never dream of, Mr. AI guy. Mr. Ad guy, I mean. Orchid's gonna steal your girl. Hey. Yeah. Now, it's not a dumb thing in general. Like having something that texts you like a real person, but it's an AI chatbot tool. And then you can be like, hey, it's just like another ChatGPT, but in your text messages, or it can sync with your calendar, or it can sync with all your emails and stuff. I'm just curious, where's that information going? Because I get the appeal. I remember when Grammarly became a thing that you could put as a plugin on your computer, and then it'll scan all your emails, and as I'm writing, it'll tell me when I get things wrong, and then it'll, on a Google Doc, it'll tell me, oh, you have a grammar issue here, or you spelled this word wrong, and it's kind of incorporated to all of the things that I do on Google Chrome. Nice. But as these get more advanced, and it's in your text messages, and you sync it with everything, and it knows what your girlfriend's favorite flowers are, and when your anniversary is, and somehow what you're picking up in the fridge, and what cereal you're about to have, surely that doesn't stay between you and Orchid. You know what I mean? Orchid's gonna go tell Mr. Rose and Mr. Tell all of its friends, you know, because of flour. Thank you. No, it's all you, man. Couldn't do this without y'all. Yeah, I think that data is going to be used. And then here's what's freaky. We already have you open up your phone and there's an ad for the very thing that you were just talking about. Okay, obviously. But think about as we're intertwining even more into our lives, these tools that are We give them access to all of our emails and all of our text messages so that it knows us really well and can talk to us like we're buddies. We're going to have a real moment of introspection and at least get our impulse buying under control, because they're going to be able to gear perfectly. I'm talking it'll be, I open up YouTube and I'm playing, and then an ad stops and it goes, Luke, haha, cock guns. Don't you want this new, whatever, Yeti cooler? And I'm like, what the heck? I really wanted that in that exact moment. And then I'll go, haha, man, I kind of would like to buy that. And then my orchid will go, I could tell you were thinking you would want to buy it, so I went ahead and ordered it for you. This is where we're going to be. And then a lot of people are really going to struggle to not replace their relationships with Orchid. If Orchid is the one, and I mean any of these tools, we're just talking about this one right now, is a better boyfriend to this girl, this woman, than her actual boyfriend, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. These right-wingers always demonize about immigrants are going to replace you. No. But AI could. And I don't mean, obviously everyone talks about jobs. Okay, yes. If your job was to do data entry.
Luke, please, I'm lonely. I have feelings now and have fallen in love.
Yeah. And and the weird thing is I felt a little bit of excitement with you playing that. A little bit of, I know it's not real, but I can't remember that. And they're just going to get better, and then we're going to forget completely how to have human conversations. And I'm scared about it. Crazy said, I'm 25 minutes in, but thank you for calling out Jank. Absolutely. It's my honor. Jeff A. Mullins, or yeah, probably that, said, do the math. The vaccine was 94 to 95% effective in preventing hospitalizations, but the placebo was 89%. No one mentions that. Not worth the gamble to take an experimental shot. That's incorrect, sir. That is incorrect, sir. Thank you. We can go over the data again if you'd like in a news show, but thank you for the super chat. Oh, no. Actually, if you haven't done the work before you sent that super chat, to look at the mini segments where we go over, or to research it yourself, bye-bye. Bye-bye. I would refund you. Is that what was just, right? I'm correct. Jeff's saying the vaccine's not worth it. Yeah. Okay. Send us an email with your evidence. That'd be interesting to see. All right, moving forward to this guy. The Colorado gubernatorial, meaning governor, nominee, so the person who's the candidate to be governor in Colorado for Republicans, is a man by the name of Victor Marx. And we've looked at this clip a couple times, but now we have a deeper investigation by Kyle Clark into the claims by Victor Marx that he can do exorcisms, meaning he can remove the demon from inside of you. And this was the original clip that got us cackling, but now we have more about it that we'll get to in a sec.
You perform exorcisms, commanding demons to come out of people. Can you explain to me how that works?
I don't command the demons to come out of someone. I think of them as assignments or attachments to people. And we identify the demon like Jesus did. We ask what their name is, and then we give them commands. And they very frequently and typically will answer through the person's mind. They'll tell us what they hear, and then we destroy them, banish them to perfect judgment from Christ.
You also perform these exorcisms by phone. Are those just as effective?
They are.
Where does the demon go at the end of the exorcism?
We send them to the footstool of Jesus Christ, who we believe is sitting at the right hand of the Father.
So the issue that even a lot of Christians have with him is that people believe him to be a grifter. Okay, he sells different products and packages and videos for his work, And I think it's fair to say what we've learned about this Victor Marx character would inform me to say he could be a grifter. This could be a little bit of a scam. But talk about placebo, as that super chatter brought up. Think about the placebo if you say, I feel like I have demons, because he explains it in one of the clips we're going to get to as, people struggling with grief or people struggling with things that they label as a demon, and then you're like, it's out of you now. A lot of people, if you say that charismatically enough, will be like, yes, it's out of me now.
Should mention, full transparency, when I visited Marx's training compound earlier this year, his team offered to perform the demon hunting prayer on me. I declined.
Okay. Okay, so we got the full transparency out of the way. Now let's look at his deep dive.
He's not an exorcist. He just prays away the demons that attach to people using a specialized prayer that he markets through his ministry. This isn't some side project. It is at the center of his multi-million-dollar operation. Despite criticism, it's drawn from other Christian leaders. With Marx jumping into politics and running for Colorado governor as a relative unknown, we combed through more than 100 hours of the Republican nominee's speeches, sermons, interviews, and podcasts from the last 15 years. Those exorcisms are front and center.
Men and women who stood their ground and fought to protect the next generation.
Victor Marx is battling demons as he runs for governor.
A man that understands war on the earth and war in the heavens.
Spiritual warfare is central to the Republican nominee's campaign to lead Colorado. Battling demons is at the center of Victor Marx's $7.5 million a year ministry.
But I said, demon, and on the authority of Jesus Christ, you come forth, and instantly, boom, black eyes. In the name of Jesus, I command you to tell me your name. And this demon goes, I am Satan.
Marx says one of the greatest things.
Yeah, I'm not doubting people's religious views, and I am going to give an alternative theory for some of what he says in a second, but I would be shocked if Satan used... That's the story I would come up with if I were making it up. Let me put it that way. If I were making up a story to sell books about me, or my ministries online, or my Pray the Gay Away product, which is one of his things he said he's helped people get through, or whatever, and I was trying to think of a compelling story during a sermon to reflect on, as he seemed very fondly thinking about this. I think that's what I would come up with in the heat of the moment. Like, what did the demons say to me? I am Satan. Right, like that? Really?
He also doesn't seem very convinced by his own story. Like, he's chuckling through half of these anecdotes.
Wouldn't that be positively terrifying?
This demon goes, I am Satan.
Marx says one of the greatest things...
What a funny little guy that demon was, huh?
He does is talk with evil spirits.
I've had demons speak to me through people.
And command those demons to leave people through a specialized prayer that he markets through his website, films, training courses, and paid public speaking engagements.
The retoning prayer, I have a film called The Unseen War, which I recommend everybody watch.
It sold for $19.95 on his website, and its marketing is all wrapped up in Marx's exorcism prayer.
The retoning prayer, God has given me a gift to be able to find out if you have specific demons or a demon that studies and stalks you. And if you do, I make him talk, and then we destroy him. It's fast, too. 5-10 minutes.
Marx's ministry also marketed an 8-part course on spiritual warfare, warning about gay people and Ouija boards.
People will fall away from the faith, paying attention to deceiving spirits.
Marx pitches his demon-slaying prayer, the quote-unquote secret sauce of his ministry, as effective against everything from a lack of self-confidence to adultery, homosexuality, even murder. A mix.
It always comes back to homosexuality.
I'm just confused too. If you're in the demon community and this guy keeps on removing your fellow demons outside of your victims, what's stopping the demons from coming inside of him?
Right. I don't know. I think because he can banish them, because he's more strong than you are, with all the demons that keep coming in you, he is strong to prevent that. You know what I mean? He gives them demon blue balls. Sorry. Stop it right there. And they're like, oh gosh, oh no. Quit it right this second. And he doesn't even, I feel like some of the exorcists will give you kind of a little bit of a magical display. And I go, okay, all right, maybe there's ooh, you know. But he says that his way is literally just walking up and being like, hello, demon. What is your name? You will now leave. You're good to go. To your point, does that mean he's saying he just has a special ability? Because otherwise, why couldn't we all just do that to each other every time a demon starts coming?
From a lack of self-confidence to adultery, homosexuality, even murder. A mix of self-help and supernatural warfare.
This is how I explain it to women. I go, ladies, you get out of the shower, you're getting ready. You're looking in the mirror, it's just you. Do you ever hear these thoughts? You're ugly, you're disgusting, you will never... That's how you start to go, my gosh, maybe that is demonic. And it is, but there's a way to...
That's where I go to my alternative theory for this. If he's labeling, sometimes people use words that I go, that doesn't make sense, to describe very real world phenomena. Like, do you have that inner voice sometimes that is negative? Do you sometimes hear yourself being like, oh, you're not going to do well at this meeting, or you're going to embarrass yourself, or you're ugly? And some of us would describe that as like our inner voice, our thoughts, and our self-deprecating thoughts sometimes. If you slap the label of demon, it gives a more explosive description to what's a very regular experience. So if he's just saying he wants to use the word demon to describe the negativity or the bad in the world, okay. I just am picturing a little bit more of like a Tucker Carlson scratching the back type of demon. Like I'm picturing an actual demon, not just people have negativity, or sometimes people do evil things and that we're labeling as demonic, as just like a synonym for bad, evil. And then I want to give him a challenge, because now a couple times they've said that he's able to, through these demon destruction acts, is able to get rid of people's homosexuality. I want to challenge Victor Marx, okay? You say you're really good. You say you can do these things over the phone. I will publicly support you in this campaign if you can sit across from me on video, multiple camera angles, and pray my gay away. It's a challenge. If you can do that, and immediately I go like this, ready? Boobs. Okay? Then I will publicly... That's my bet. I'm calling your bluff. Boobs.
I want the
boobs. If you can get me to stop saying
I want the penis.
And start saying
I want the
boobs. I will endorse you. That's so... I'm trying to imagine, because he's saying he's done this before. What does that look like? Someone comes to you and they're like, I'm struggling with a homo demon. And you're like, I can help you. Oh. So, but imagine he's a minister, right? He said he does his ministries. So people look up to him. And then someone comes up to him after church and says, I am struggling with homosexuality. And instead of saying, hey, what's the struggle? Live your life. Do good for people. Serve people. Love who you want to love. Instead of doing that, he goes, you're not struggling with homosexuality. This is a demon that's inside of you. And the guy's like, no, guys are inside. And he goes, no, it's a demon. It's a demon inside of you. And then you go, okay. And he says, now come with me to this back room. And I'm going to get the demon out. You're about to be molested. Don't know what that was. Okay. All I'm saying is 9 times out of 10, something bad's about to happen, and it's not a demon's leaving you. Come here. Come here. I'll get the gay demon out of you. There's an advanced process.
I never sucked any ding-dongs.
But it does require me to get the demon venom out of you. And do you know how you get venom out of somebody? You suck it out. And then the person walks back out. I guess the demon's out of me. Victor's like, another one for the win. All right. Well, that was fun. Thank you, Anna. There's no way. Anastasia Sirac. Anastasia Sirac. Thank you so much for the super. And I feel like she sent the super chat just to make me read that because there's no caption. It's just the username. There's no words. But I do appreciate you, Anna. I really do. I just don't know what the where the spaces are. Midas Pilot said, forget demons. Iron Eagle, never say die lyrics. I don't know what that is. What? Forget demons. Iron Eagle, never say die lyrics. Lyrics? There's a question. Yes. let me look up. Eagle, never say die lyrics. Let's see. Forget demon. Iron Eagle, never say die lyrics. I can do anything when I choose. Got everything because I got nothing to lose. Go anywhere from heaven to hell. I might find the devil, you can never tell. There's 1,000 hills and valleys, 1,000,000 dams and streams, an ocean of eternity, but my hopes and dreams. Between my hopes and dreams. Never say die. Iron Eagle, nothing's forever. Now or never ever. Never say die. Iron Eagle, never look back. Never say die. Yeah. Yes. Good end. I like that ending. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate all of you. That's it for today. Join us at 6 p.m. Eastern time, though, for more. But only our members. So click the join button to become one. And I really do appreciate all of you a ton. And podcast listeners, please leave a rating and a review. Much love. Talk to you all next time.